Well, Florida is beginning the cleanup from Hurricane Milton, which left a trail of destruction across the state. The storm has knocked out power for more than 3 million homes, and flood alerts are in force in many areas. At least 10 people have been confirmed dead, but the state's governor says Florida avoided the worst. For more, let's bring in DW reporter Stefan Simons. It's good to see you, Stefan. What are you witnessing there? What kind of state has the hurricane left Florida in right now?
Well, it's kind of a state of chaos, but as the piece pointed out, as you pointed out, it wasn't as bad as they had expected. The authorities here really prepared for the worst, and I mean the worst case scenario, and that didn't come to pass, and that's good. That's good for everybody. And the Floridians, as someone said in the piece, they're in no time turning around and come back. Of course, there is hardship for many people here. There is not enough food. There is a gas shortage, of course. And let's not forget, people died. There's at least now 14 dead, officially dead accounted for. Of course, 5 of them are passed due to a tornado which hit Lucey County here in Florida before Milton actually even touched base and made landfall in Florida. But no matter what, of course, those who evacuated and those who now are returning to their homes at the coast, they are facing a little bit of an uphill battle for the next few days, if not weeks.
We hear reports that there's around 3 million households without power. That's a lot of households. How are that many people coping right now?
Yeah, absolutely right. It's like about the actual number right now stands at 2.8 million people without power. And you see, that's the luxury here behind me. That is light. That is power. Those people who came to Orlando, where we are here right now, to flee from the storm, from the waves and the water pushing into the coastline of Florida, in Clearwater, in St. Petersburg, in Tampa, in Sarasota, etc. They are now returning. But what do they return to? To a place without power. That's the big problem. Power. There is no power. So there is no refrigeration. There is no air conditioning. There is no internet, no TV. They're in the dark, literally, figuratively, and they're moving back there now because they want to see how bad it is, what they're facing at home now.
Well, that many people without power are obviously going to need help from the government. What are authorities doing to provide aid?
I have to say what the state, what the local authorities and the federal authorities did was quite impressive. Now, there were thousands of people prepared to jump in to help rescue personnel, but also utility companies, linemen who restore power, for example, or people, frontline workers who actually removed the trees, which felt the power lines, etc., and blocked the streets. All this has to be removed. All those people were in place. A lot of hardware, 2.5 million gallons of water ready to be dispersed to Floridians who are in need, or 1.5 million meals, etc. So why was the federal government, the local government, and why was the state government so well prepared? Well, first, it's not their first rodeo or / hurricane, but it's also that they had days to prepare. They expected the worst, they prepared for the worst, and then, thank goodness, it wasn't as bad as they had anticipated. That's why they had an overwhelming force of preparedness, so to speak, ready to go in and help people. That's what they're doing now.
Stefan, thanks for that reporting. That's DW reporter Stefan Simons in Orlando, Florida. Tim Miller is chief meteorologist at the University of Florida and director of the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network. Welcome to DW. This was projected to be one of the worst hurricanes in recent history. Are you partially relieved by what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I tell you what could have been with this storm is absolutely tremendous. So we certainly dodged a bullet here on the west coast of Florida. There's no doubt. When it first started as a 180-mile-per-hour wind storm, and then the fact that we could have had 15-foot storm surge in Tampa Bay and did not is an absolutely huge relief. As you can see through the pictures, the devastation is just tremendous. And again, with the storm surge, it could have been even a lot worse.
So Milton was a Category 5 when it was still over the Gulf of Mexico. Is there an explanation for why it became a Category 3 before it made landfall, or was this partially due to sheer luck?
No, it's what the atmosphere does. The Gulf of Mexico is much like a hot tub that you would get into, right? It's sort of like a cul-de-sac in a street, if you will. And that typical time, summertime heat just heats up the Gulf of Mexico, and it's ripe for storm development. And once a storm develops, it can certainly gain a lot of strength, as we've seen with Milton, with 180-mile-per-hour winds. The great thing that happened with Milton, if I may say, is that actually, as it was moving towards the Florida coast, it entered an area of drier air and what we call wind shear in the atmosphere. And that has a tendency to really downgrade storms. And that's exactly what happened as the storm was making its way towards the Florida coast, which was, of course, was good news. It wasn't a full-fledged Category 5 hurricane.
Okay, but still a lot of destruction, more than 3 million households there without power. What are people doing to get through this right now?
Well, the best they can. I mean, like with any situation, and it wasn't only Milton, it was Helene that was just a few weeks before that went through Florida as well. So Florida's been hit twice. And getting through it's very difficult. There's obviously a big opportunity for cleanup. Once again, there are people that are cleaning up from the first storm and now this storm. So what we've seen here in Florida is a lot of people banding together and doing what's right and neighborly and making sure that their fellow neighbors are receiving the help that they need. And everyone's lending an extra hand with supplies and things that need to get back to normal again.
Mm-hmm. Now, Hurricane Milton it's moved off of Florida over the Atlantic now. Does that mean the danger is over?
Yeah, so the danger is over for Floridians. This was a major storm in many respects for not only the rainfall totals. St. Petersburg received over 18 inches of rain, and there were actually 127 tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service. That is a record amount of tornado warnings issued with any storm. And of course, the tornadoes caused a tremendous amount of damage in addition to the flooding that the hurricane did as well. But Milton is well out to sea and now poses no more danger to Florida or the U.S. East Coast.
Okay, Tim Miller, Chief Meteorologist at the University of Florida. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.